Hey everybody, we're on to week 3. So I'm going to start with some things that we have already worked with. I'm going to go right into the broccoli, which I have here whole. But last week I chopped it up, put it in the bag, and did not use it yet. So I open it, it's got a little bit of a smell to it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to blanch it. So to my left I have a pot of water boiling, and I'm just going to put a whole handful, as much as can fit in that pot, in, and I'm going to let it go for about 2 to 3 minutes until the broccoli turns bright green. Okay, so we will come back to that. In the meantime, I'm going to keep this bag, and I will wash it because it's smelly, but for time's sake, I'm also just going to keep my broccoli whole this week and put it in here. It will keep, obviously, like anything, a little bit longer if you don't cut it apart first, and I don't know when I'm going to use this yet, so I'm going to keep this whole. Again, check your broccoli, smell it, make sure it's not going bad. If it smells a little bit like it, this is one of the things you can do is blanching, so I'm starting by the heating for 2 minutes. Something else we had last week were our zucchinis. Again, these are going to go into my refrigerator, down into a crisper drawer, not in a bag. But I wanted to show you from last week, when I diced them up into thin rounds, move that out of my way, I actually laid them out on paper towel, and then I rolled them up. So now I'm unrolling them. Oh, there goes one to the floor. And when I put them on that paper towel, I put that salt over the top to pull some of that liquid out, and they are not slimy. They're a little bit flimsy, but I'm still planning to use them for that tart, or if you're making a quiche or a frittata. If you are going to cut them up and you're not sure you're going to get to them, paper towel, thin zucchini, salt, let it sit for like 20 minutes, dab the liquid off, and then put fresh paper towel over the top, and then you can just roll it up, put it in a bag, put it in your fridge, just don't forget about it, use it in something delicious. Okay, so I will have to make this tart later now that I opened these up and found that I still have them. Okay, zucchinis. Also, I believe last week we all got strawberries. This week, the rain was wonderful for the farm, but picking strawberries in the rain is not ideal. Should check my greenness over here. Make sure they all get submerged under the water. You probably could use a tool, not your fingers. Back to the strawberries. The rain was wonderful for the farm. We needed it, but the moisture on the strawberries will make them go mushy and start to decay quicker. So we did the best we could. We picked into towels, we put them in the cooler, we let them dry in thin layers. Then we pinted your strawberries, but I highly recommend eating them fresh ASAP. Otherwise, what you could do, obviously make jam, something else, or you could simply do what's called macerating your strawberries. So I have some already in my jar. If I'm going to slice them, I usually actually just start at the tip and go towards the green. That way I have something to hold on to. Or you can cut the top off and then turn them on their base and cut them if you prefer that direction. Or like I said, holding the top, and then you can come down. So I'm going to chop them thin. I already did some. Put them in a jar. And then if I were to fill this entire jar up, I think this is a 2-cup jar, I'd probably put in like 2 tablespoons to a 1/4 cup of sugar. And then, so I obviously need to put more strawberries in because I just dumped in probably a 1/4 cup of sugar. You just let it sit, and the sugar pulls the juices out of the strawberries and helps preserve them longer. So then you can put it in oatmeal, have it with strawberry shortcake. We simply ate it with whipped cream the other day. So I recommend macerating your strawberries, especially if they look like they're about to turn. But don't forget, you can also freeze them. All right, let's check our blanching. Ooh, our bubbles are back. We look bright green. Okay, so what I'm going to do, where did I put it? I'm going to strain them immediately. So, there we go. And then to stop the cooking, which is the important part of the blanching process, although I'm going to put a couple in this bowl first. Nice and steamy. Ooh, and hot. Again, I recommend using a real utensil, not your fingers. I'm going to dump them into the water. By immediately stopping the cooking, they will retain a little bit more of that nutritional value and their color. And then you can either put them into a container and stick them into your fridge. So I probably let them sit in here a little bit longer. Make sure that they get completely chilled. Or you could take them out, put them on like a towel or paper towel and let some of that moisture come out of them. Put them in a freezer bag and freeze them. So blanching is a great way to keep their shelf life, especially once they've started to smell, into your fridge, or shelf life into your freezer. So whatever you'd like. Or if you're cooking them and you want to stop mid-blanch process, I highly recommend taking them with some good old butter, throwing that butter in your bowl. Maybe I'll get a fork this time. Okay. Some butter and a little bit of salt. And then really just butter, salt. You can put some pepper or something else on. Buttery broccoli is a delicious way to go. So again, you could even heat it up from your fridge, put that butter in there, put it in a stir fry. Again, they're a stir fry, sorry, I love them. So highly recommend 3 different ways to take care of your broccoli. I'll take some of these out. I might even just put them back in my strainer for now to dry before I decide how much I'm freezing and how much is just going to go into my fridge. Okay. Very important to get them into really cold water, whether it's under your faucet or like I did, ice water. Okay. Also, last week, and you received your carrots. I'm going to cut my greens off again. It's up to you if you want to use your greens. That pesto is great. You also got green garlic this week. These two together, combined, make delicious pesto. We'll come back to the green garlic. Okay. For your carrots, I believe your recipe this week has slaw. Again, if you have a mandolin, you're able to get on there and julienne your carrots. If you don't have a mandolin and you want to cut them thin, I would recommend, again, taking the top off and then cutting it straight down the middle. That way, you can take, now that I've cut my carrot in half, you can cut the long ways as thin as you kind of can. Okay, I'll just do this to 1/2. So now I end up with a piece sort of like this. You can see that. And then I would take these pieces and then cut them again into thinner strips. Again, if you have a mandolin, this process will be much faster. So we got thin little carrot strips to throw into a slaw. Another option behind me, going into a slaw or a spring roll, is simply taking your peeler and giving it nice little long curl lengths. This way you can layer that into a spring roll wrapper or throw it into a salad or into your slaw, whatever you would like. Again, if you're just going to store your carrots, cut the tops off no matter what, put them into a bag and into your refrigerator. So these are going behind me. Okay, again, cucumbers, great for eating just like this. Keep them whole and without a bag in the crisper drawer until you are ready to eat them. And if you want to juice them, I would juice the whole thing or put them in a smoothie. There's no need to peel them. I might just wash them first. Okay, back to your green garlic. The bulbs are going to be more potent than the greens. Again, like scallions last week, you can eat the whole thing. If you're going to put them into like an egg bake or something, or that quiche that I was talking about with the zucchinis, cut those ends off, and then you can chop thinly straight down the line. I would chop these in rounds. There's no need to cut up your green garlic bulb unless you really do want it finer to spread further in a dish. But I highly recommend just taking it. Let's pull one out of here. And I would chop my little root end off and then just chopping it down in rounds. Because it has its little garlic cloves that you can actually see in there. Let's see if I can get this up there. It comes apart in its little cloves, so you don't need to chop it any further. You can just take it straight down the line and then it's ready for your use. Again, store it in a container or a plastic bag until you're ready. And I would definitely chop the top finer because it's a little bit more woody. And if you're putting it into a stir fry or something, you could throw it in a little bit later and it'll have stronger flavor. So your green garlic, if you're not going to use it right away, you could simply just put this into a bag, into your refrigerator until you're ready to use it. Okay. Let's see. Sugar snap peas. Recommend eating them definitely fresh. Just break the crown off and try to keep the string attached and pull right down the line. And then you got your little curlicue string off. If you can see that, I might be too far away this week. And then you can just eat it. If you're gonna put them in a dish that you're making, especially a hot one, I would throw them in at the end so that they maintain a lot of their crispness, which is why they're so delicious. Lettuce this week. This is really good lettuce for on sandwiches. It's a nice, easy size to use. It's like the perfect size to put on a burger or in your BLT. Again, if you're gonna cut it up, keep the base intact, slit, 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 then chop it down the line. If you're not gonna use it right away, I would bag it up. No diggity. Okay. That slaw that I was somewhat talking about, and I think Tenzin refers to it in the newsletter, I think it's a recipe. That lettuce also is could be delicious in it, and that is a way that I would definitely use my Napa cabbage. Again, depending on how big of pieces you want, you can cut some slits. And again, if you're gonna chop it up nice and fine, this is wonderful again in the spring rolls or in the slaw, in salads, sauteed and put in different things. I mean, anything with butter is good. I think I said 1 week bacon. It's totally true of this too. So I would cut this into maybe 1/4 inch pieces. It's also good in kimchi. If you're into making the kimchi, the carrots would go in there well. The salad turnips, if you got salad turnips, go in there well. So, and you can eat this all the way down to that white flesh. I would take this as low as you can get it. Okay. We'll focus for a second here. All the way down the line. Okay, so I left like maybe a 1/2 inch here. Hold it off to the side, it matches my shirt. And then if you do chop this up right away, you may still want to salad spin it, although Napa holds pretty tight, so not as much dirt can get in there. We do dunk it and wash it, but there are no guarantees. So I would salad mix this, put it in a bag, paper towel on the bottom side in your refrigerator. Okay. You also received this week beautiful basil plant. I would transplant this into something larger, give it room to grow, and simply pick off the leaves as you're going to use them. Do not refrigerate your basil, it will turn black. So leave it in a pot, set it somewhere in your house, maybe it gets some sunlight, it likes that. And then pick leaves off as you're going to use them. Don't pick it clean or you will not get as many leaves coming back. So enjoy your basil. And then I believe the last thing in the box this week that some got are mushrooms. You either got oyster mushrooms or wine cap mushrooms. Mushrooms should not be washed in general, but ours do have organic dirt on them. Like most mushrooms have some dirt on them. You can take a little brush or a paper towel and wipe it off before use, or you can blow into the top on the bottom and really get some of that dirt that might be in there, and eat the whole thing. So the top will cook a little bit faster than the bottom, but they absorb liquid really, really well. Don't crowd your mushrooms when you're cooking them. They also pair well with butter, which apparently is my theme this week. But to cook them, I would remove the stem from the top of the wine cap and chop the stem maybe in half the long way, and then take and just chop down your mushroom from the top. Again, don't wash them till you use them. When you store them in a paper bag. So take them out of the plastic bag that we gave them to you in, put them in a paper bag, and into your fridge. And I believe that concludes our week. Enjoy your meals, enjoy your vegetables, and try butter on almost everything you have in your box this week. We'll see you next week.